Meanwhile, England manager Gareth Southgate has confirmed that Captain Harry Kane will be available for Friday's World Cup clash with the United States of America. England's captain suffered a knock to his right ankle in the second half of Monday's 6-2 victory over Iran and played on for 25 minutes before being substituted after 76 minutes and undergoing a scan to determine the severity of the injury. Harry Maguire will also start for England against the USA tomorrow and is set to win his 50th cap for the Three Lions. He was a controversial selection for the starting 11 in the opening game against Iran, but Maguire put in one of the most assured performances of the season, maybe one of his best performances of his career, who knows. He hit the bar with the header early on in the second half, and then he earned an assist for Bukayo Saka's goal that opened the floodgates for Gareth Southgate's team. There were concerns about Maguire's fitness for the second Group B game after he was forced off against Iran through illness, but he has now recovered and has taken full part in the England training that you are seeing on your screen right now. So they have, all of their players are training. To discuss the World Cup with me this morning, I don't know if we have got him back on the line. We have Seun Adedimeji, who's joining in from Ibadan this evening to talk about all of the action we've seen at the World Cup. All right, so we're trying to sort that out ASAP. All right, seems like we do have him. Seun, good evening. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic. So, Seun, I've just touched on the English national team who have confirmed that Harry Kane would be available for that game against the United States tomorrow. Coming into this tournament, there was a lot of criticism surrounding the English national team. They're not as enterprising enough. They don't play attacking football like Gareth Southgate. But my opinion was always, look, they were in the finals of the Euros, semi-finals of the last World Cup. They deserve some respect. What do you think about this English side, who could be one of the first teams to qualify for the knockout stages if they secure all 3 points tomorrow?
Well, I think they've been pretty impressive. I think Gareth Southgate doesn't get the credit that he deserves, obviously, because I think that he's taking the team to a level that they've never been over the last years. I think they've had very fantastic players over the years. There was a golden generation age where people talked about the likes of Scholes, the likes of Jared, the likes of Lampard. They all played great football for their top sides, but then when it came to replicating those forms, for their national side, they didn't get those forms. So I think for Gareth Southgate now to come with this young boys who've got so much agility, so much passion, so much creativity about them, and then to create this sort of atmosphere around the team, I think it's pretty amazing. I think they actually are better off than they used to be before. So I think he's got to get credit for all that he's done for the English national side. And you look to this side, you see some very, very exciting prospects. Mason Mount, you have Phil Foden. All those guys are playing greatly for their club side and also replicating that from the national side. So they won their first game 5-0. I think you've got to give them some respect. And now going to this game against the USA, they look like the favourites, obviously, because the USA have not been that impressive over the last few games, that they've played on the international stage. So I believe that going into this game, should they secure 3 points, that makes them, of course, ready for the round of 16. What's happening?
Right, so quick one. We have to run through the conversation this evening. One of the biggest themes of this competition has been, some of the somewhat underdogs putting up good performances against the big sides. Unfortunately for Africa, Ghana are losing at the moment, 3-1 against Portugal as we speak. But we've seen Saudi Arabia defeat Argentina. We've seen Japan come from behind to defeat Germany. We saw the Canadians yesterday against Belgium. Even though they lost, they were the better side. I would assume that you agree with that, against Belgium. Do you think that maybe the manner of the setup of the World Cup, in the middle of the season, these teams haven't had time to train together like they would if the World Cup had come in June, July. Do you think maybe that's playing into the hands of the, in quotes, smaller nations in this World Cup?
So I think the timeline for running the World Cup this year gives everybody a level playing field, because I think we're not pretty much used to Winter World Cup. Now we're having a Winter World Cup this time around.
I mean, look at some of these players. They barely had time, to regroup with their national side and gain momentum before the tournament starts. But I think we're all used to having the Summer World Cup, where these players have more than 20 days, to train together and build momentum. So to keep them in good form for their respective national sides. But then I think the time that these guys have is pretty small, and that obviously gives the advantage to some of these so-called underdogs that we've been seeing so far in the tournament. Very impressive victory from Japan against Germany. That was really applaudable, and also the victory for Saudi Arabia against Argentina. I think that was not what anybody expected at this tournament. So I think it's very questionable, but we understand that because in the Middle East appears comfortable and habitable for the tournament to be played at this time of the year. That's why it's being done during the winter season. But then you still have to call into question, the comfortability for some of these top players. Some of these players are just starting to settle with their respective club sides, trying to win games, win lots of competitions that they are finding themselves, but then now having to now switch their attention to the club side, to the national side. I think it takes a toll on the mental state of these players, and so maybe that's what's affecting some of these players at this juncture. I think, yes, maybe that's the reason for some of the surprises that we're seeing so far at the tournament.
All right, like I said, Portugal are leading 3-1 against Ghana as we speak. France did stamp the authority on this World Cup also. Spain trashed Costa Rica last night, and we're expecting to see Brazil against Serbia tonight. Which of these teams do you think is going to be favorites to win the World Cup come the 18th of December, Seun?
Well, at this juncture, I think I would like to do away with the word favorite. I think that at this juncture, there are no favorites for me in this particular tournament. I think a lot of teams have not played as I would have expected. Even though Spain scored 7 goals, not an outstanding performance, if I was to say. I think a lot could still be done. I think the scoreline exaggerates the superiority of that team, if I could say that. Yes, I believe that they played a weaker side, a weaker opponent, and that gives them some element of or ability to be able to get themselves in the right shape for the right opponent when they face them eventually. But I think I want to do with the word favorite. I think some of the teams, France, yes, I've been pretty impressed, even though there was a lot of outcry that Benzema would be missing out of this particular tournament, and then we've seen what Giroud is capable of on a normal day. He's done that over the years, winning respective laurels, which is club sides, Arsenal, Chelsea, now with AC Milan. Now he's also won the World Cup. Let's not forget that he was part of the team that won the World Cup in 2018. So he's also replicating that performance now at this current World Cup. So I think France, yes, maybe on the books, I want to give France the edge at this moment in time. But to speak of the word favorites, I'm not sure that that word should exist at this moment in time, regarding what's already happened in the World Cup.
All right, Seun, before I let you go, one last question is away from the World Cup, but quick update. Ghana have pulled one more goal back. It's 3-2 as we speak in that game between Portugal and Ghana. But away from the World Cup, what's your take on the whole Ronaldo situation? He's no longer a Manchester United player. Me and you usually have these conversations, but we haven't talked about Ronaldo and United. What's your take with the whole interview with Piers Morgan and Manchester United's reaction?
Well, I believe that this had to happen eventually, because Ronaldo is not the first player to say all this about Manchester United. I mean, Jose Mourinho has come out to say that finishing second with Manchester United is his best performance, managing any side in the world. So I believe there's something to take out of that. And also, Ibrahimovic also said that there is so much that people do not know about Manchester United. They see Manchester United as that global brand on the outside, the powerhouse in football, but then nobody knows what goes on the inside. So I believe that what Ronaldo has done for Manchester United, I think, must be appreciated at this moment, because there's a lot that the club needs to improve. Look at what's happened since Sir Alex left the club. They haven't been fighting on the biggest stages in the world, and they need to be there. They have what it takes. Of course, they have the brand, and they have some of the players that it is required to be fighting at some of the biggest stages in the world. So why not fight on that stage? So I think a lot needs to change at Manchester United. I think Ronaldo has done them a huge favor by exposing some of the loopholes that they currently find in that particular side. So rather than blame Ronaldo for what he said about Manchester United, I think Manchester United fans have got to really appreciate him for what he's done for them. And, let's see what happens. Now it's catalyzed a reaction on the part of the owners. Now there's been a statement yesterday from the owners saying that they are looking for strategic alternatives at this juncture. We're not sure if they want to sell the club. But obviously, I think there's a lot of pressure on them because one of the biggest brands, not just footballing brand, one of the biggest brands in the world, Ronaldo, is leaving the club. So I think that's a huge loss for Manchester United at this moment. So I'm sure the fans must be a little bit sad, with how things have turned out at this moment. I think this is not how we expected the story to end. Of course, it was that big story that moved the papers when it was come back to Manchester United, and now it looks like he had a very good first season, but the second season he's not had the sort of impact he had in his first season. So now having to leave the club in this acrimonious manner, I think is something that the fans will not be really happy with. But then I think looking at what's happened so far, I think on the grand scale, you could say that, yes, this could be a huge favor done for United.
All right, thank you very much, Seun, for joining me all the way from Ibadan this evening. Hopefully we'll get you on the show to have more conversations during the World Cup as we edge closer to finding out who's going to be world champion on the 18th of December. Thank you, Seun.
Thank you. Thank you.